Welcome back to another video. Welcome for those who are new, my name is Bray, and for those who are returning, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I'm just gonna get straight into the topic. So today's topic is just pretty much a little chit chat. Yesterday I like to sit in the kitchen and contemplate my life, and that's like my little thinking spot. I just realized like where I am today compared to where I used to be. I think it's important to show yourself self-compassion and just gratitude for your journey and how far you've come. Sometimes we get so caught up in the storyline that we forget how far we've actually made it from one point to the next. The thing that I was thinking about was, you know, before I moved to Chicago, my life in Carbondale was just so different than my life now. Like who I was in the past is just so different than who I am today, and I just feel like I'm closer to the woman that I want to be, and I just never realized it. Specifically, what I was thinking about was how I used to drink a lot. Like, you know, I did go to SIU, so like, cool, it's a heavy drinking culture. But like, even beyond that, I used to just drink so much, like I never realized how much I used to numb myself. And I was just like dissociated out of my body. A lot of the things I was doing, the choices and actions that I was taking was just not really reflective of who I wanted to be. And at the time, of course, I didn't realize that. I was just doing what I felt was necessary to survive. But now it's like I don't even really drink that much. Look, don't get me wrong, I'll give me a little drinky drink when I go to the restaurant, but I don't be drinking in the house anymore. I don't make it my mission to drink every weekend, to get drunk. Like the last time I got drunk was probably like last weekend. That don't count though. But previous to that nah, I didn't get drunk last weekend. Anyway, previous to that, I haven't really drank at all. Like I said, I don't eat out as much as I used to. That was also another thing. I used to love going out to eat. My relationship with food was mostly like food is reward. So I would use it as a celebration. I would use it, you know, if I'm feeling sad, let me cheer myself up. Like those were really die-hard habits for me. And I never realized how far I've come in just letting go of those habits. I wouldn't say they're necessarily toxic, but you know, overindulging in anything can be toxic, and I was definitely overindulging in that. It's really important just to take time and just be like, wow, look how far I've come. You may not be where you want to be, but again, it's a journey and it's not linear. Sometimes we're gonna make mistakes and sometimes we're gonna fall off track, but that does not put you back at the starting line. You may have had to take a couple of steps back to move forward in the right direction. And you always know I'm gonna say it, what I'm gonna say. Rejection is your soul's protection. Redirection is protection. And again, I always say this, like, just because it may feel bad in a moment does not mean that it won't turn out to be everything that you imagine and more. We get so caught up in wanting our vision to look exactly how we want it to look, but sometimes the universe has things that are better for us. So, you know, it's okay to mess up on your journey because it's just redirection. It's just redirection. And if you hold on to that, if you hold on to the fact that, oh my goodness, I made a mistake, you won't be able to learn from the mistake and move forward. So another thing I wanted to bring up and why I was thinking about this in particular is because I've been in therapy, and my therapist has really been trying to work with me on self-compassion, forgiving yourself for mistakes, and pretty much like my perspective and how I view things. Instead of always viewing things negatively, look for the positives in the situation. And so I'm now a huge advocate for therapy. One of my friends was telling me about her therapy experience, And I'm like I've never really had anyone tell me about their experience in therapy. It's just like my mom in high school used to be like, go to therapy, you need therapy. And people's like, you need therapy, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, it's just coming at me and making it seem like I need help or something, or like I'm fucking crazy. But when you really sit down and actually talk to someone who is in therapy and not trying to force you to go into therapy for possibly their own reasons, when you do it for your own reasons, for the reason you like, when you feel like you need to get up and go to therapy, I believe that's when it works. I mean, they always say that you can't really force anyone to go through any type of therapy, and you know, I kind of agree. So I finally took the chance and started therapy. It was a rough journey. I was going through therapists. I'm like, damn, maybe this shit is not for me. I didn't give up, and I just trusted the process. And now my new therapist is just wonderful. And I bring this up to say that I believe that therapy is good for anyone out there that is having troubles with coping mentally on your own. I mean, I guess that sounds a pretty crazy way to put it, but that's basically what it is. Like, I realized that before therapy, I was pretty much struggling a lot because I didn't really have anyone to talk my problems out with, or like reoccurring thoughts, reoccurring issues in my life. I didn't have anyone to talk to. And yes, friends and family are good to vent to, but you have to realize that people can only hold so much space for you, and people have their own problems, and people are not trained to be your therapist. Like, it's one thing to sit and talk to your bestie about some shit that's going on in your life, but it's another thing to constantly come to a person and dump all of your soul's issues on them. Some people are able to hold space for others like this, and that is beautiful. But what I've noticed within my own friends, a lot of them were not able to hold the space that I needed. And so, damn, my battery finna die. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking until the battery dies. I realized personally with me, it's not like I'm going through a lot of shit in general to be dumping on my friends. I'm not saying I'm the type of person that pours my everything into my friends, but I was just noticing sometimes that some of my friends were not able to hold the space for me that I needed, and it used to make me feel bad. Like, you know how sometimes we be talking to people and then you like say something that's like kind of been on your heart and on your mind, and then they don't respond the way you need, or it's like this awkward silence and you're like, fuck, I kind of wish I didn't say nothing. That was kind of just what I realized, that, you know, I can hold that type of space for some people, but they were not able to hold that space for me. And I was taking it internally. Like, I was kind of blaming myself, like, damn, maybe you don't need to talk. Anyway, that's a whole nother issue that I don't even want to get into, guys. It's a whole nother thing I don't even get into right now. Okay, my battery died. I don't remember where I was last, but instead of expecting your friends to hold that space for you, I just feel like it's a lot easier and better and more helpful to go to a trained professional, because your friends can only give you so much advice, especially if you're not, like, if you're the type that likes to get advice, you know, help me with this situation, but then you don't like to consider the advice that's given, or you don't change your actions. It's kind of like, what's the point? What's the point of constantly bringing up the same situations if you aren't trying to change them within yourself? And frankly, people get tired of hearing about the same shit with no actions, okay? I definitely have this little story to tell, and it changed my whole view on how I approach people when I'm dealing with a tough situation. When I was staying in Carbondale, I was super depressed, and I was in a relationship and it wasn't really the best. And so I was struggling. I was really struggling. And instead of just leaving, I used to call one of my homegirls back home in Chicago, and I used to complain to her and just pretty much tell her the shit that I was going through every day. And it was the same shit. It was the same shit. And one day, she just stopped picking up my phone calls. She just stopped picking up my phone calls. And that's when it hit me, like, damn, Bray, you're sitting here complaining every day about the same situation when you have the power to change it. She has probably given me as much advice as she could. And at that point, it was just kind of like, I'm sick of hearing about your problems and you're not trying to do anything about them. And so I'm now like, everybody know that when you come talk to me, when you come vent to me, I want to hear some solutions. We gonna talk about solutions, because if you're not trying to talk about any solutions, there is really, like, by all means, go ahead and vent. You can go ahead and vent, and I can listen. In the long run, if you're not trying to talk about solutions and you just keep complaining about what's going on in your life, I don't want to hear that shit. Other people don't want to hear that shit. So therapy, I feel like, is helpful in a way that, you know, they give you exercises. They really break down why you're doing the shit that you're doing. So let's just say one session you complaining about this one issue. Not complaining, but I'm saying, like, let's just say in therapy 1 week, you're talking about this one issue, and, you know, your therapist give you the talk. And y'all try to figure out ways that what you can do to solve it. And then the next week you come back and your therapist is like, well, did you try to do the things that were suggested? And you said no. Your therapist can sit down and break that down with you on why they believe you're stuck in a certain area. Where your friends can't really take it that far. Frankly, you know, friends are great. We love our friends, but honestly, we all have so much shit on our plate that it's only so much space that we can hold for one another. Just be really mindful not to use your friends as therapists, okay? And I guess I'm saying that's because sometimes my friends use me as therapists, and that's fine. But again, it's only so much that a person can handle. And if you're feeling like you're at a crossroad with venting and telling your story and people aren't really giving you the feedback you need or want, check out therapy, man. Like, it's like your own little personal diary that fucking talks back and actually helps you cope and break down, like, the shit that you've experienced or are experiencing, and it's fucking great. So yeah, sorry, that was my little tangent on therapy. I just feel like in today's world, there's a lot of shit going on, and it's okay to admit that you need a little guidance. Especially if you're feeling stuck and stagnant in your life, maybe you need a little guidance on how to get over that hump. So, yes. But, what was the original topic of the video? My memory is so terrible. Like, I need to start doing memory exercises. Oh, yes. Okay. So, yes. So, yeah. So, even with that being said, in therapy, I'm learning that we need to show ourselves self-compassion. And instead of looking down on yourself, you need to highlight what you have done. You know, we always hard on ourselves, and we always, like, want to highlight our mistakes and pass over the things that are working for us in our life. And my therapist brought that shit to my attention, like, my last session. I was telling her about how I always tell people, like, I'm getting my life together. And she was like, well, how can we reframe that to be more positive? Because if I'm saying I'm getting my life together, that's implying that I don't have my life together. And so we sat and we talked about ways that I can reframe it. And it just really dawned on me. I'm like, wow, you have come so far. And it's like, back in the past, we be wishing so bad for something in the future. And then it comes, and sometimes we don't even realize that we're experiencing what we asked for in the past. And it's like, once we get to that point, now we got a whole bunch of new goals, and we have to strive for new things. And we just forget that, damn, I am checking off every box. What helps me, I feel like I talked about this before, what helps me remember how far I've come is my goals, my monthly goals little note. And so each month I have maybe 4 or 5 goals that I want to accomplish. And I check them off when I do accomplish them. And so sometimes when I go back and look, I'm like, damn, I did do that. Dang, I did get that done. And like I said, we be so worried about the end of the journey that we forget that it's really the little in-between moments that matter as well. We be rushing to the finish line. We get to the finish line and it's not even like, damn, this is what I wanted. It's not even that great. No, I'm just saying. But no, that's really how it is sometimes. It's like you be wishing so bad for something and then you get it and it's not even what you thought it would be. Or you know how we overhype things. We often overhype things and we put a lot of power into future events and future things. If I can only get that luxury apartment, then I'll be living the life I want. Shit like that. And I just realized, like, for my own personal life, every time I do that, it's not what I think it's going to be. So I've really just been trying to take each day slowly and just focus on being present and being aware instead of constantly thinking about all the mistakes that I've made and all the future goals that I want to make. I don't know. So that's all I really had to say today is, you know, just don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the journey you've been on. Don't forget all those hard ass stairs you had to climb at some point. You know, you may not be at the top, but you're not at the bottom. And it's about perspective. It's about how you choose to look and view things. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna enjoy my Tuesday. I'm gonna go paint actually. So thanks for tuning into today's video. Like, subscribe, do the damn thing. And I hope that y'all have a good rest of your day. Oh shit, my camera at 222, y'all. All right, bye.